So here we are with a fantastic video. I waited so long for this. Why atonalism sucks. So someone created a masterpiece of scientific content, and you are going to watch. Hey, wait, the sound is doubled. You are going to watch, yes, someone like me analyzing what someone like him says. So let's go part by part. I hope there is not a copyright strike, so under fair use. So this is the enjoy classical music. So he has a problem with atonalism. So let's.
I have a classical music problem. We need to talk. Over the years, I've got to like so much music that I didn't at first enjoy that I assumed my issues with atonalism were my own problem, and that one day atonalism would make sense to my ears. But it's still.
So I would do some pause to, I don't know, the correct thing would be to reproduce the whole video to make justice to the guy. But we have the transcript. Did you ever see this? So I start already innovating. Is the transcript React. So it doesn't work for him, atonalism. And I have reached a point in my life where I realize it probably never will. Sorry. This is my articulation of that problem, and it's coming in the form of our complaints, which will develop, I believe, from the weakest to the strongest. So the first thing, so let's go.
Primer. Atonalism, or serialism as it's more strictly known, was developed as a music system at the start of the 20th century, principally by SCHOENBERG.
Okay, so we need a very important conceptual note here. Let's bring my notes here. So here is our note. So atonalism. So he spoke about atonalism and serialism. We need to do a very
primer.
So let's go back.
Atonalism, or serialism as it's more strictly known, was developed as a music system at the start of the 20th century.
Correct.
Principally by SCHOENBERG.
So now the development of atonalism, you should pay attention because it's not like the SCHOENBERG creates the thing. So serialism and atonalism are different things. You have this confusion that you need to understand. So serialism is a subgroup in atonalism. Okay, so basic logic. Then this is the modern era. So if we do a line, we have the modern era, the romantic era. The late romantic era is a more complex state. So actually atonalism started in this crisis of the late romantic era. Sorry, my drawing looks like something funny. I won't even talk about it. So Schoenberg, he codified the 12-tone technique. Okay, so now this guy speaks about subverting.
A deliberate attempt to subvert the harmonic.
Okay, so subverting. So here we have a problem. So here you need to get busted because it's a very offensive language. This is a very pejorative language. This does not correspond to the Schoenberg plan. I am going to speak about this, and so subvert is not exactly the term. So this is a very offensive term. Actually, we characterize here hate speech. Hate speech, because the people of the atonalism here, guys working hard there, Mozarteum, Vienna composition degree there, they might feel very offended. So if you see this on Reddit, it might be the reason to get banned, because it is hate speech. So how do you dare to use such a word against a group, a minority? It's a minority. Hey, the people of the atonalism, they are a minority. You should be more respectful. So
system Western classical music had developed over the last few hundred years. Serialism asserted that every one of the notes in the chromatic scale.
So he goes direct on the serialism. Okay, this is how they do. Do you know why? Because before atonalism goes to serialism, it was the free atonal music. Okay, and this is very complicated to understand the relationship between free atonal and vagrant harmony. Okay, and in the late romantic, and even here we had the free atonal already starting as a complex thing. Okay, so you have Hugo Wolf. Let's see if I find my history of music here. I guess I deleted this. So it was a lesson exactly about this thing here for a very talented Japanese student. And but so the leader, so the songs of Hugo Wolf, many of them start to flirt with the free atonality. You have the list, some examples of lists. This is documented by De La Motte and very well explained. You have the Hugo Wolf, and of course our beloved dandy, esoteric dandy, the Scriabin. So the most beautiful mustache. I will do a poll on my community tab if the mustache of Scriabin is more beautiful than the one of Nietzsche. So this is a controversial topic. It's a controversial topic. It's also not allowed on Reddit because everyone has its taste, so it might offend. Because my mustache will be very different than the one of Scriabin. It's another proposition, stylistic proposition. So Hugo Wolf, Liszt, so free atonal. Okay, they start to have moments in the musical piece that create this problematic of the Analysierbarkeit. So how can we analyze? How can we define, etc. The famous situation is with the Tristan chord of Wagner. And atonal pieces, yes, I can mention from Scriabin. Many people didn't discover yet, but you know the best I reserve always for my students. I have at least 3 analyses of Scriabin that are very cool. So then free atonal, and then free atonal starts to be a problem. Okay, free atonal starts to be a problem. So which is the music theory of the free atonal music? We had a very codified system of tonal harmony, and now what is the thing? How to explain this? And then Schoenberg, before he speaks about serialism, he develops these ideas and this concept of musical logic. Okay. So if you want to speak about atonality to people, you need to do it properly. Otherwise, you're doing hate speech. Then you need to be banned from Reddit. Oder? It's not the rule. Musical logic. Okay? Musical logic. This is the thing. So then from there, gradually he starts to codify the serialist technique, but actually he doesn't. Schoenberg was not full serialist all the time, so he goes on. So now I can correct my drawing, for it doesn't look like explicit. Otherwise, I lose also my credits. I might also be banned from YouTube. So actually goes on and on, okay? The thing, so with Schoenberg. But of course, serialism is very important. And we have the other composers, so we have the Webern. Okay, let's start the organized. I don't know if I say this today, but I am a compulsive teacher. I just started teaching. This is Sunday. And I plan the lessons for the conservatory and for my students, not for YouTube. He's more or less a React. I don't even like the word. It's more or less, it's not a React, it's a commentary. Animals react, I comment. So Webern, so the most genial man, Berg, so the very famous child, okay? So let's put here Schoenberg. And you should observe that this is Schoenberg. So it's schön, it's beautiful, mountain. So it's how can you say that his music is not beautiful? See, so beautiful, mountain. If you follow Heidegger, you see schön is beautiful, Berg is mountain. So beautiful mountain. So this means everything that he does is absolutely the most beautiful music ever done. So Webern, okay, Berg. So the thing is more complex. Let's go back.
Over the last few hundred years, serialism asserted that every one of the notes in the chromatic scale needs to be played before repeating any other one. It's a rule which prevents any harmonic basis or gravity to the music. When you play in a certain key, certain notes always have harmonic preference over others. But with serialism, the preferences are abolished. No repeats are allowed till all the notes are played, preventing the music from...
Okay, this is the common place of introducing serialism that is most of the time wrong. So then you wonder why people never compose beautiful serialism. Yes, no repeats, but you always have to add to this that you can add some chords, okay? So, and repetitions of notes. So, okay, so regarding the pitch repetition, you should understand this. So it is correct, okay, pitch does not repeat. But for the rhythm, when you have repeated notes, you can repeat the pitch. And another situation that allows you to repeat the pitch is when you use multiple rows. Okay, you use like multiple rows and counterpoint, and then you will have the same pitch occurring close to each other more frequently, perhaps. So, but of course, the main principle, so the serial, what I call the serialistic principle, is the principle of the non-repetition, in the sense of decentralizing all the intrinsic tone gravity of each note. Okay, so let's go.
Ever having any kind of harmonic centre whatsoever. Which brings me to my 4 grumbles. I should say right from the outset that none of these complaints involve "it sounds horrible." It does, still to me, but so did a lot of other music from the Renaissance or other modern music, even a lot of late romantic music. They all sounded horrible to my ears until I learned to love them. Look at the example of our taste buds. We have flavour receptors to warn us of the dangers of food, bitter receptors there to spot poisonous substances, sour receptors to warn us about the ripeness, and yet we enjoy bitter and sour foods. We have learnt to game our own safety systems for the pursuit of pleasure. And I think we do the same thing with music. We can take pleasure from the sound of discordant music. So, bad as atonal...
this is an important thing. We have the so I will summarize like this. So the unpleasant can be unpleasant, can be pleasant, and the ugly can be portrayed as beautiful. Here I do a reference to Rosenkranz, Ästhetik des Hässlichen. Also a controversial topic. It might get you banned. So now let's observe more things here that he said. So let's go on. Let's make him speak more.
Music does sound to my ears. Let's leave.
Okay, so I understand this part. I can appreciate that people enjoy tonal music. But we already have discordant music. Okay, there is dissonance in tonal music, but the dissonance in tonal music is not a problem for him. Follow his argumentation. So everything is I, okay, but the title is Why Atonalism Sucks. So there is a pretension of objectivity.
Many years ago, I was involved in a conversation with a contemporary artist who was complaining
this is the second
about
point.
someone.
Okay, so the first point, did I jump over the conclusion? So, okay, let's come back to the taste. I hope the video is not blocked.
Sour receptors to warn us about the ripeness, and yet we enjoy bitter and sour foods. We have learnt to game our own safety systems for the pursuit of pleasure. And I think we do the same thing with music. We can take pleasure from the sound of discordant music. So, bad as atonal music does sound to my ears, let's leave it sounds bad aside and begin with my first and admittedly weakest complaint.
Okay, now we have finally some complaints. So
I can appreciate that people enjoy atonal music. As I've already said, the discordant can be fascinating to our senses, but we already have discordant music. Modern 20th century classical music covers discordance for me. If I want music that sounds
okay, so this the thing with the dissonance is very interesting, because this guy here composed the worst dissonance that I could mention in music. So his quartets are way more dissonant than the ones by Weber, by far. Okay, this requires a whole revision in your concept of dissonance. So the concept of dissonance is very hard to understand in the modern outside of tonality. Okay, so let's see who are you.
Hello and welcome to Enjoy.
Who are you, my friend? Okay, as always, you don't tell who you are. Okay, so it's easy, no? So I am Emanuel, music theorist. I try to suck less in music, so I study a lot. And
hello and welcome to Enjoy.
My background here is from the student of this guy here. The student, I am not the fan. But here, so the last of the greatest composers of the Neue Musik movement. So the Friedrich was good. He composed the concerto for percussion and orchestra that I absolutely recommend. As always, actually, Czech was a little bit conservative if you compare to the composers of the even Wolfgang Bremen and other guys. So this is conservative for this year. So that's technique here. Okay, so this. But the Spiegel is very interesting. So you showed here. So the best piece that he composed, and the concerto for percussion. here with the Martin Grubinger. By the way, kudos for the Martin Grubinger. I think this was not a small performance. Okay. And I have to check if he was my colleague, by the way. You know, people are our colleagues, we don't care, no? Later they are famous. So, huge suggestion, okay? So, my background comes from this lineage a little bit. So, just for you know here what I am talking. Where do I talk from? And I couldn't identify who the guy is, okay? And he's teaching a lot of people about atonalism. And he wants you to enjoy the classical music. And the Bach is like an Einstein here. The Einstein was a very important suspect of plagiarism, okay? The Poincaré is the guy.
Hello.
So
I have a classical.
So hello. Let's go back to him. I don't like this
Classical music
YouTube app here. So I can't identify him. So this is why I say that the words is now a big Reddit, my friend. You can identify people, but even when you know the name of the people in the street, you can't identify them because they are so similar to each other. So it's a problem, no? Now let's where is the transcript? How did I activate the transcript? So here's the transcript. So I was speaking about the Bartók dissonance, okay? And there is the thing of the flavor, the taste, the flavor. Not a big thing that he says. So discordant, pleasure. So he says we have already dissonant music, okay?
Music. Modern 20th century classical music covers discordance for me. If I want music that sounds discordant.
And then what I said that this guy here, so the Bartók, he composed way more, so harsher dissonance. And then I say that the concept of dissonance outside of the tonality is a difficult discussion that requires a little bit of study and experience with the repertoire. And then I couldn't verify any sign that he's that he's an author or that he has a degree in music, because I think if you don't have a degree in music, you have a free time to be an author and write some book. So
20th century classical music covers discordance.
Or at least to present yourself as a musician or as a composer, no?
For me, if I want music that sounds discordant, and I think I've been saying discordant too many times, I'd prefer to listen to Shostakovich or Bartók than proper atonal composition.
What is this, man? So why do I have to have so much skin here? So as a composer, I would be absolutely, again, offended, because I learned very well the art of feeling offended. Since I am a very educated person, I followed and I was very obedient to my teacher. So I learned to be offended. So as a Stravinsky here, I would be offended, because if I compose a Sacre du Printemps or Firebird, if I compose the Miraculous Mandarin by Bartók, if I compose Shostakovich Violin Concerto, this is a huge masterpiece. The Piano Concerto of Prokofiev, I don't know which one is a masterpiece. I watched it in Salzburg. So if I did such things, violin concerts, exactly. So if I compose such things and then you waste all the, I don't know, 30% of the album here to show your skin. So for Philips here. Okay, what can I do? And you are not so beautiful, so why are you appearing there? I don't understand. Put some work by an underrated artist that is a genius, like my friend like my friend the Jürgen advertising time Sobviak. Actually, I can't find mine. Emanuel soundtrack live suite. So put something like this in your Philips. So put something like this. Hey, Shostakovich violin concerto. Or this. Okay. So this I did with the Jürgen Sobkowiak, and it ends with a very atonal Hitchcock counterpoint. So you can also check. Of course, it has the limitations of atonal music. I am not saying that atonal music doesn't has its problems, but the problem today is not atonal music. The problem is that everyone is ignorant. Okay, it's the problem, and everyone is greedy, and everyone is mobbing, and everyone is bullying, and everyone is submissive while being also abusive. So they are submissive in the workplace, and they are abusive outside of it. They are submissive in the workplace and abusive in the I don't know, in internet, social media, and of course our beloved Reddit. So and this sign of decadence, by the way. So a huge footnote, I know, but I'm doing this video because I want to improve or to help see the things as they are, okay? And I don't care if I change the topic a little bit. So, by the way, it's very connected to the topic, because here I think it is a misrepresentation of the idea of this musical, let's say, school, this expressionist school. Okay, it is an excessive softenization of something that is raw, direct, aggressive. Perhaps they wanted the contrast, but I think here it was not successful. By the way, it looks like a shampoo advertising with this color. So let's go.
Tonal composers like Webern or Schoenberg. Okay, I accept this is my weakest argument.
So let's see here the weakest argument.
Than proper atonal composers like Webern
let's
into our senses. But we already have discordant music. Modern 20th century classical music covers discordance for me. If I want music that sounds discordant, and I think I've been saying discordant too many times, I'd prefer to listen to Shostakovich or Bartók than proper atonal composers like Webern or Schoenberg. Okay.
Yes, the weakest argument, because Bartók, Schoenberg, Bartók, Stravinsky, all those guys, they have moments that technically, I mean phenomenologically, is the same result as a serial piece. So unless you break down analytically, then you will find the difference. But I mean for the common listener in a concert hall, so the effect that they are communicating, sometimes it's basically you can substitute one by the other.
I accept this is my weakest argument, so let's dive a little deeper. Many years ago, I was involved in a
okay, the novelty. So I think his style of argumentation is this. So let's do one accusation, and since I can't bring this accusation to a conclusion, I bring a new accusation. And since I can bring this accusation to a conclusion, I bring another accusation. This is how the bullying mobbing society works, okay? And this is what he's doing here. He's bullying atonalism. So, now you start speaking about the obsession with novelty. Yes, here is a stronger point. Here's a stronger point. And and here we have evidence for this. But what was the first point? So I have to even recall. So the first point is we already
begin with my first and admittedly weakest complaint.
We already have the discordant music, okay? And so what? So we do already have the heavy metal music of Black Sabbath, so the symptom of the universe, and then for this reason we won't have Megadeth anymore. So how is this? We have already enough of this, so this is why a new variation of a similar thing sucks. And by the way, I am being kind to him because he brings zero philosophical fundamentation. Or he didn't study aesthetics, because I think if he did study aesthetics, he would bring some points here. So I think even in the level of history of music, the thing is complicated. Here we already have the discordant, and just analyzing these points still. Here this, for example. Here this. My God, Janacek, it's unbelievable. So this is so ugly and so annoying that I started to rethink about this and start to think if I am the idiot. And Janacek was not a stupid guy. Do you get the point? So what did he want with this? So if you start to study the music, then you get the point, etc. This is from Intimate Letters number 2. But let's analyze just phenomenologically and acoustically. So this is very discordant. And now here the Opus 9 of Webern. Absolutely beautiful. So it's almost like me walking in Vienna in the autumn. So it's a problem, no, my friend. Let's go back. So the dissonance thing is it's not the best way to it's not the best frame, the idea of dissonance, I think. So
my weakest argument, so let's dive a little deeper. Many years ago, I was involved in a conversation with a contemporary artist who was complaining about someone had done something with shop dummies, which honestly I can't remember now, but he was really annoyed because he had been thinking about doing something similar with dummies, but now he couldn't because the idea had been taken. This obsession with being new and original has just created so much bad art. Nowadays, we have a much more relaxed idea about novelty. We create new things by mixing two old...
Okay, here's his best argument. The problem, I would not say is the atonality, but is the Dadaism in atonality. So, and the problem, as you would have the opportunity to learn with me, is the Gramscian Marxist, cultural Marxist revolution. taking the institutions. Okay, then here we have a reframing of the whole intrinsic necessity of novelty. Okay, so art's about creation. Creation is new, my friend, sorry. And you being in the present. Okay, so you can't ontologically exclude the present. So if you think that imitating Palestrina with excellent counterpoint will give you an excellent artwork for the concert hall, this is not true. Okay, this is not true. So you need the connection to the present, and then this is the problem that we have today. So, but then we have the subversion here. Here we have another type of nude, and this is where I am, Emanuel. And here we have the, perhaps let's call present, I'll not call it presentism, but originalism, avant-gardism, okay? Avant-gardism. And this is an intrinsic idea of the modern era. This was actually, by the way, the modern guys, I mean, even independently of political problems. And here, this is because of very intrinsic material problems. So the crisis of art, okay, as such. And here is where the musical logic comes of Schoenberg. So so we can't avoid atonality. Okay, so this is the thing of Schoenberg. We can't avoid atonality. He's not creating atonality to shock people or things like this. It's not the point. But with Weber, not musically, but thanks his speech, Was ist neue Musik, that I read in original, and you should also read in original before you do YouTube videos like this. So, Weber, was ist neue Musik? Or you read in English, but you have to be very careful for the keywords in German. So, Weber, was ist neue Musik? I think here he reframes things towards he opens the possibility. He creates better conditions for the avant-gardism. Okay, but I will not still blame the Weber directly. And then come this guy. Okay, and then starts to be a problem. Okay, and now the true problems that he created, you should understand with the contraposition of Scruton. Okay, and then what we do in my philosophy of music course, we start to understand there's oppositions here. And now here, so you see the game is in the institutions. Okay, uni. Okay, and the guy, so behind Adorno as a meta level, very important, is the Gramsci. But in the uni, you won't hear about Gramsci. Okay, because exactly as an indicator that his plan is working well. And also you never hear about the scrutum. You need a channel like mine to hear about the scrutum. That was also somehow very annoying, but still very important. Okay. So we have to analyze these things. Why I say he wasn't annoying? Because he didn't consider photography as an artwork. So if I'm wrong, you can leave a comment. And I find it's problematic because I worked as a professional photographer. Yes, welcome to Emanuel Freus, and I love photography, but I am not an excellent expert of the technical side of photography. Okay, so I might even surprise you with my ignorance. So, do you see things how they are?
Old things, or trying to put a different spin on something familiar. We're no longer obsessively just trying to come up with something totally unique. Unless, of course, you want to create a pile of surrealism in its bones, in its DNA, is obsessed with this idea of having to create the new and original. That is the point behind destroying the harmonic system, giving composers an original and opposing musical system that forces them to create something unusual and new. Now, that might have looked
force.
Having to create the new and original. That is the point behind destroying the harmonic system, giving composers an
There is no such thing as destroying the harmonic system, okay? There's no destroying. You are offending me. I am feeling really offended. Okay. There is no destroying. They are doing something parallel. So instead of playing chess games, they are playing Mario Bros. Okay.
Original and opposing musical system that forces.
What destroys the harmonic system is this. Aha. Do you understand? Let's destroy the harmonic system. Yes, here you start to see there's movements towards this. Okay, I think this is what he wants to talk about, but I think he didn't study the issue enough, because to concentrate everything in Schoenberg is very lame. Okay, it's very, I don't know, I need to speak Portuguese. É bem babaquinha. It's cliché. It is cliché. It is ignorant cliché. So now here, yes, perhaps. So here you have the Babbitt. You have a very strong institutionalization of the atonal music and the composition as a whole. Okay. Okay, then perhaps, okay, and then he teach the guy of the neo-Riemannian theory, by the way. So here's problem, okay? He doesn't care. I don't care. How is the famous sentence of Babbitt? It likes, if the music is considered ugly, it is a compliment for him, or something like this, okay? So I don't care. So this is problem. Okay, then there we can speak something in the direction of destroying tradition. Yes, destroying the harmonic section. Yes, but you understand my point. It is inside of the cultural war. Okay. The argument of Schoenberg was very immanentist. Not only, but he's not about destroying the harmonic system. He's speaking about an immanent crisis of music, immanent crisis of tonality. He's speaking about some necessities, immanent necessities, in the perspective of a musical logic. We can't avoid a tonality. you have the Karl Dahlhaus that will explain a lot about the immanent process of the musical artwork generating the next steps and even revolutions in music history. You have also the insane huge Hegelian argumentation that, by the way, got perverted by these guys here, because now they want the presentism, they want the avant-gardism. Okay, so the avant-gardism is the ism. What is the problem is the ism. I still think that to some extent, art has to be new. It needs a very important component of originality, I still think. Okay, so avant-garde is still the normal way of things, I think. But the avant-gardism is it's more like an activism. This is why they are conservative today. Besides, they repeat the same music that Adorno composed, the same music that Babbitt composed today, okay? Or not even that. So I actually many composers today, they can't imitate well the Boulez or the Babbitt, but they go in this direction, okay? And so far as I know, there is not something new that they are doing, okay? They are very conformist. The avant-gardists of today, they are very conformist, okay? They are scared to be banned on Reddit. They are scared to be banned by the next scholarship or excluded by the next scholarship in their institutions. This is the reality, and this is a very institutionalized type of composition, education and composition. It's the contrary of what you have with me. Now, Babbitt, so I don't care or something like this. Who cares if you listen? Who cares if you listen? This is his article. Who cares if you listen? So it's in the 15s or yes, 15s, 60s. Okay, this typical era of modernist revolutions. So I don't care. So article, who cares if you listen? Hey, oops. Hey, this is so bad. It is frozen, my friend. It is frozen. It was frozen. So why the OBS sucks with me and not with idiot YouTube gurus scammers? Why my software sucks with me alone? Okay. So anyway, so I will have to edit the video and I will put everything here for you have the overview. Okay. And then you can follow what I'm saying. So let's go back. I hope it was not frozen for a so long time, my friend. So
forces them to create something unusual and new. Now, that might have looked great 100 years ago, but honestly, now I think that's a busted aesthetic. We want to see original work, not unique things. Let me put this in terms of Beethoven. Beethoven's Eroica Symphony is new and original.
This is the Telemann, the Christian Telemann. So I watched him conduct the Valkyrian of Wagner in the Salzburg Festival.
Is new and original and revolutionary because Beethoven needed expanded new musical forms to achieve his ideas, not because he was trying to be original. Great composers needed to find new ways to express ideas, and that's...
Yes, but Schoenberg the same way. So the originality of Schoenberg is of the same nature of Beethoven's originality.
It's not the same thing as just creating something new. Okay, rant over, but leading to my third and deeper critique.
Okay, your second critique is so well backed, no?
Okay, rant over, but leading to my third and deeper critique.
How can people live like this, man, with such a small head and small dimensions? So what is small dimension to care to speak about such a huge cultural heritage? It's a huge cultural heritage, the atonalism, like it or not. So it's a huge cultural problem as well. Because this let's say the typical avant-gardist institution that teaches musical composition is heavily anchored on the atonal tradition, and we have many important problems there. And then you do such a low effort argument, then it's a problem, even if you are right. Okay, so this is not a good example for good musical criticism. This is the typical pattern of a bullying, mobbing society. Okay, it's a society that is satisfied with impressions, with little sensations, with fantasies, with vanity, and a very mediocre and narrow intellectual framework. So, problem. Now he goes to the next.
It always feels wrong when music needs to be explained to be understood. Art can appeal to our head or our heart, our minds.
So he says it is for the head
or our instincts,
and not for the heart.
Needs to be explained to be understood. Art can appeal.
This is not true. Okay, this is not true. So this will be easy to destroy. So Schoenberg, Vorgefühle. Okay, so if this is not for your feelings, what else is? So, where do you think? Where do you think this? Where does this come from? Okay. It is from this era. Okay, so the iconic scene of Psycho. So it's from this era. So Schoenberg is a huge father of the musical expressionism that delivered the best source to score this type of movies. So bringing everything in a summary.
Appeal to our head or our heart, our minds or our instincts. There's a spectrum here. There's culture that will appeal more to our intellect, like books, and culture that goes straight for our emotions, like music generally. Atonalism, however, sits at the...
Now, some examples of 12-tone music, then they are for the head. For example, like the Feldman, Morton Feldman quartet, that is a huge quartet. 4 hours. So please leave in the comments if I am wrong, because I don't have an insane memory like this guy here. Okay, so huge, insane. So I don't feel nothing hearing that. I find it's a problem. I find it's a shock music. So I find this an example of avant-gardism, of academicist avant-gardism. So this is the best. I will put even a head in here. Academicist avant-gardism. So actually, this is the failure of avant-garde. This is why we don't have nothing new. Okay. There are a lot of things, man. So there are so many things to this that people don't know. I don't even bother giving here for free this whole lesson. It's not actually a lesson because we are not analyzing the text and analyzing the arguments This is what we do in my course, Philosophy of Music, where you write, you read, we discuss, but we discuss following certain strong boundaries. So, okay, failure of avant-garde.
Brainy academic side of the spectrum. It cannot just reach you intuitively. You have to have an understanding of the music that preceded it in order to appreciate it. In other words, you can just appreciate Baroque music or Renaissance music on its own terms. But to appreciate atonalism, you need to understand the harmonic system that existed before.
This is again another failure to understand the music, the beauty of the music of Marin Marais. You need to understand a little bit of the background, otherwise you find this annoying. Also to understand, let's see, yes, this type of thing. Let's see if I'm correct. Exactly. So, do you think that your mother will like to hear such out of tune organ trumpets if they don't know the French music tradition? This one is cool, still cool, but a lot of them, they are so idiomatic and very niche. You also need some type of historical background. At least you like the era where the music is coming from. Okay, so there is always the problem of having to know something in order to appreciate something. And the more you know, the more you appreciate to a certain extent. And the more you appreciate, the more you want to know. Okay, so basically this is the fundamental hermeneutic cycle. Okay, hermeneutic circle of the Gadamer and of the Schleiermacher. So you need to know in order to appreciate. You need to know in order to know. Okay, basically I am converting here to the aesthetic discussion, but basically you need to know in order to know. You need to know the general things in order to know the specific things, and you need to understand the specific things in order to build a general knowledge. Okay, more or less like this. Let's put it short to go on. So but many, so you have the Lully, cembalo, so French ouverture, harpsichord. So I love this, but do you think that you appreciate this without having any knowledge about the things? I think your first impression is, hey, this sounds like a destroyed piano, or like a box of mosquitoes. As someone said, I think the Handel or Scarlatti or something like this. about some harpsichord playing of someone. So it's always this question. So, but I understand the thing of head music made for the head. For example, the variations of Webern, orchestra variations for orchestra. It is beautiful music, but when he call variations, it's like mocking you, because it's like trolling, because you can't hear the variation unless you've analyzed the variation. But this was always done. So who made more music for the head than Sebastian Bach? Okay, Sebastian Bach composed a lot for your head. And there is this layer where you appreciate the music, but there is another layer that you will only be able to appreciate if you go into all his insanity of numbers and symbolism. Okay, so
existed before it. Serialism,
like in the Goldberg Variationen and the German Mass, so the third part of the Klavierübung, and the Kunstfuge, so the art of the fugue, etc.,
is not a system that can just operate on its own. It needs a harmonic structure to destroy, to create itself, which means it presupposes knowledge in order to appreciate it, which makes it a rather academic and, I'm afraid, uninstinctive way to enjoy music. I can see how it attracts the head, but not the heart. It's non-intuitive, and its effects on me feel non-emotive, and that has always been a huge issue for me. I can hear it, but I have never felt it. Which leads me to my...
but then here the problem is of the composer, not of this stylistic spectrum, because I can quote so many tonal music that sucks as well. So you just have to open out the catalog of what Hans Zimmer wrote, or the Gregson Williams, and then you see how predictable is everything that they do. So, but the tonal music has nothing to do with with the composers that do not fulfill the artistic talent to the fullest.
Final, and I think most biting criticism. Serialism is a rigid system, and I think this is really my greatest problem with it. It seeks to break free from a system by imposing an even more incredibly rigid system of its own, and I mean incredibly rigid. Musicians of the world, free yourselves, untie your chains. All notes are equal to all other notes. You hate your bourgeoisie music?
Yes and no. So in the academic frame, more or less, yes, when they are teaching these bad composition classes that are actually for who plays violin and piano, not really composers. But when they are teaching only composers, like really composer lesson, there is a huge amount of freedom still. The only freedom that is not allowed is to go away from the academicist avant-gardism. Okay, so this is your paradigm. So you have to be absolutely obedient to this, and then in this sense here you don't have freedom anymore. It is also the atonal music as a whole is kind of imposed, we can say. I can say in every university, but it is more or less like this. So I can verify this, that is the possibility of composing something new and tonal is not studied enough. And there is a reason for this. We talk about the musical logic and the problem, the immanent problem of tonal music, and then you have to study the argumentations about this. Adorno is one, but you have also other books that explain better the immanent problem of tonality. I have some videos about the problem of classical music. I have also many other books that I cover in my course that I don't want to mention here to gatekeep more knowledge. So here, for example, watch this, okay? So he discussed these things about the imposition, the supposed imposition of atonality in academia. And on Patreon I post a full lecture because I research a lot these things and YouTube doesn't show these lectures. It takes me work. Okay, so the imposition is more or less like this, and the freedom of technique or not freedom of technique. It more with the 12-tone music to a certain extent. You can do a lot of things with 12-tone music still. There is still a lot of freedom composing. Okay.
Really my greatest problem with it. It seeks to break free from a system by imposing an even more incredibly rigid system of its own. And I mean incredibly rigid. Musicians of the world, free yourselves, untie your chains. All notes are equal to all other notes. You hate your bourgeoisie music? Well, have I got a revolutionary idea for you.
So here's the Adornan frame, okay? And this is what he's not observing. He's not observing how the Gramscian evolution poisoned this whole atonal thing.
Great new system to free us from our shackles, which, surprise, surprise, just imposes an even more rigid system. By all means create atonal music, but to systematize that with serialism is just bringing in more rules. I really don't see how that frees anyone. Proper atonal serialist music is the opposite of what it claims to be. Rather than freeing a composer, it puts him in a different prison, and a much smaller prison with more chains. Which is why I believe serialist atonal music is destined for the museum or academia, and not, I'm afraid, for the concert hall. Am I correct?
It's also very interesting that in no point he shows any score of serialist music for you understand what he means by serialism, or which works and things like this, which composes, okay? He just doubles down.
Now, a rough estimate would say that 20% of all performed music comes from the 20th century, from modernist music, but barely 1% is actually serialist music. I don't particularly like it, and neither do audiences. Like I say, I can totally appreciate that other people can enjoy atonalism, but serialism as an aesthetic system, I'm afraid I totally appreciate that other people...
Okay, but yes, so what? And still more people, they hear hip-hop music.
People can enjoy atonalism, but serialism as an aesthetic system, I'm afraid it adds nothing for me. Sorry. Please don't like and subscribe.
Okay, you are a very cool guy. You speak very cool, but so my resume here is go study immediately. Okay. If you want, you can book a consultation with me, and then I will help you do better videos, okay? So you identify atonalism with 12-tone music, and then in your core statement you say why atonalism sucks. So you do this generalizing type of statement that might get you banned on Reddit. So let me help you, okay, bringing more nuance into your life. And yes, let me help you suck less, my friend. It is not an easy issue. So I think a lot about the atonality problem. You don't see me do videos like this, or no? Or do you see? So atonality as such, you might you might build very interesting criticism about the atonality really as such, okay? But I think that the critics, they would go in another direction. For example, the problem of affect, so the problem of the spectrum of emotions that atonal music can't handle, for example. Speak about this. So read about the topic. Okay. Read about the topic and then book a lesson with me. Then say, Emanuel, I read about the topic. Then I help you create a text and create an argument that is more or less respectful to one of the greatest geniuses in the history of music theory. So the Schoenberg, he was very important. Okay, he was very important. So yeah. Let's see the comments now. Yes, we have to bring you to the comments.
I have a classic.
So first, when you watch YouTube comments, you should start from below, because here's where the mobbed, bullied people come, because they write something that might be controversial, and normally it's something that it has to be addressed. Exactly, 5 orchestral pieces, masterpiece. And he doesn't evaluate one of the biggest achievements of atonal music, and this is the development of the timbre, the whole thing of timbre. Okay, that is even popular today in film music. So the influence of atonal music in the development of film music is huge. The Winifred Phillips, who is a very kind and sweet follower of mine on Instagram, he won a Grammy now, and he used many atonal techniques. So atonality has a very strategic, plays a very strategic role in her output as one of the most famous video game composers there. So let's see here, Samsung. Let's see the comment. Because the frame here is not good, I understand. So let's show the comment.
I have a classical.
So Boomer. So this is stupid. Okay, so okay, Boomer, you are not stupid, because it's not about being Boomer or generation thing. Let's see the other guy here. Freelancer. So he quotes the 5 piece of Schoenberg, so we commented this. 12-tone music sucks as it limits freedom and potential that the music can have. Yes, I also have this feeling with 12-tone music, but honestly, the more you know 12-tone music, the more free you are. So it is about achieving other results. Okay, you won't create a rock ballad like "Is this love that I feel? This must be love that I've been searching for. Is this love?" No. Okay, so they want to achieve some things, and then what is your problem? What is your problem? So they will always say, if you master the technique enough, you can be free with this. And it is harder to compose in 12-tone music to some extent. Of course, a sonata, yes. So, but it's also hard to compose a 6-part counterpoint. You don't have so much freedom. Also, if you compose fugues, the freedom is not so big. So yes, I feel that there is not so much freedom. This is a stronger point, but Do you know that they care? So the point is, if it sounds beautiful or not, if it achieves the purpose of art or not. Do you understand? So people are not hitting the discussion where it has to be to happen. Okay, so the point is, how does 12-tone music create beautiful music? Which is the concept of beauty when we are speaking about 12-tone music, which is the concept of artistic success when we are employing these techniques, which are the limitation of these techniques. Are we using these techniques as a new standard for every composition that we are doing, or is this a situational technique for a very specific goal? It's an experimental technique. Are the people of the 12-tone music demanding you to compose 12-tone only? At least the Schoenberg was not like this. So then we have to understand these things. So then you see how the avant-gardist academicism was so nocive. But it was nocive because of an external influence, in my opinion, a very ideologic and political one. So this is my opinion. And I think here is where we should study more and understand what happened. Okay. But the problem is that, unfortunately, I can quote very beautiful 12-tone piece of music. So the woodwind quintet is amazingly interesting. Now the question is if we should keep using this technique. Then this is a legitimate question. Okay, it's a legitimate question. So much as people asked, should we keep composing tonal sonatas with a very clear tonal center and common practice idiom? Should we keep doing this, or it's over? Okay. Then this is a question, but I think he didn't address things in this way. And why I'm talking about this, because he reflects the mainstream opinion everywhere. And this is also an opportunity for me to criticize also the other side of the avant-gardists. Both sides, they display the typical problem of today. So they think that because they attach to a group and a collective ideology, that they don't need to use any argumentation. So this is how the collectivism today is making people absolutely dumb. So this is why I say society has become a big Reddit. So okay, I think this is enough. I want to go through every comment because there are some absurds here. So atonalism is unscientific. I think that's enough, my friends. So thanks for watching. Please remember to give a like, because so if this guy got 155 4 likes and get its video promoted, so I think it makes sense that my video gets equally promoted, because I am a professional working about talking about this, and also to some extent risking my reputation, let's say, because I am not an anonymous moron here speaking things. I might speak things that I also have to verify better and study more about. So see you later. Thanks for watching.